History books will tell you that in February 1946, 6 white men were found dead along a 3-mile stretch of road between Harlem and the Bronx. The official police report said gang violence. Case closed within 48 hours. No investigation, no suspects, no justice. But here's what history books won't tell you. Here's what the NYPD buried in a file marked "Do Not Pursue." Those 6 men didn't die from bullets, didn't die from knives, didn't die from anything quick or merciful. They died the exact same way they'd killed William Big Willie Jackson 3 days earlier, dragged behind a pickup truck for 3 miles while fully conscious. Every witness who watched that truck roll past their building heard the same sounds: screaming, begging, bones scraping asphalt, and one voice, calm and cold as January ice: "He saved my life. You took his. Now I'm taking yours, slowly." The voice belonged to Bumpy Johnson. And what Bumpy did on the night of February 21st, 1946, didn't just kill 6 men. It sent a message so brutal that for the next 20 years, not a single white gang member operated in Harlem. Not one. Because they all remembered the pickup truck. They all remembered the 6 ropes. They all remembered the 3-mile blood trail. This is that story. To understand what happened in February 1946, you need to understand who William Big Willie Jackson was and why Bumpy Johnson would burn down the world to avenge him. Willie was born in Charleston, South Carolina in 1918, grew up picking cotton, grew up hearing words that would define and haunt him, used casually, constantly, cruelly. In early 1941, Willie was 23 years old, working as a dockhand in Red Hook, Brooklyn, loading ships for $3 a week, breaking his back for men who wouldn't look him in the eye. One February night, 5 white dock workers cornered him in an alley behind the warehouses. "You're taking work that belongs to white men," the leader said, pulling a knife. "We're going to teach you to know your place." Willie fought back. He was strong, 6'2", 200 pounds of muscle from years of labor, and he'd been fighting his whole life. He dropped 2 of them before the other 3 pulled knives. That's when Bumpy Johnson walked past. Bumpy didn't know Willie, didn't owe him anything, but he saw 5 white men with knives surrounding one black dock worker, and Bumpy Johnson had rules about that kind of thing. He pulled his .45 and fired 2 shots into the air. "This man works for me now. You got a problem with that?" The 5 men looked at Bumpy's face, saw something there that made them choose life over pride. They ran. Willie stood there, breathing hard, bleeding from a cut on his arm. "I don't work for you. You do now, because those 5 are coming back tomorrow with 10 more. So your choices are work for me and live, or stay here and die." Willie thought about it for 3 seconds. "What kind of work?" "The kind where men like them never put their hands on you again, long as you're with me." Willie had heard a lot of promises in his 23 years. Promises from bosses who didn't pay. Promises from cops who beat him anyway. Promises from a country that said all men were created equal while treating him like dirt. But something in Bumpy's voice was different. "When do I start?" "Tomorrow. Small's Paradise, 6 p.m. That's how it started. December 1941. Pearl Harbor. America entered World War II. By March 1942, Willie received his draft notice. Bumpy could have gotten him out of it, had the connections, had the money, but Willie didn't want out. "I want to fight," Willie said. "I want to prove I'm as good as any white man. I want to come back with medals pinned to my chest so nobody can ever say I'm less than human." Bumpy understood that desire. "Then you go, and when you come back, you'll have a job waiting. My personal protection. You have my word." "Why would you do that for me?" "Because I see what you are, Willie, what you could be, and America doesn't deserve men like you, but Harlem does." Willie shipped out in April 1942. He was assigned to the 92nd Infantry Division, the Buffalo Soldiers, an all-black unit commanded by white officers who made it clear that colored soldiers were expendable. Italy, March 1944, the Gothic Line. Willie's company was pinned down by German machine gun fire. 7 men wounded, no cover. The white commanding officer was dead. Willie was just a corporal, not in command, but there were no more orders to follow, so he made a decision. He grabbed a Browning automatic rifle and charged, alone, straight at the German machine gun nest. He ran through bullets, cutting the air around him, flanked left, used a destroyed wall for cover, came up on the German position from the side. 4 German soldiers, 1 MG-42. Willie killed all 4. 3 with the bar, 1 with his bare hands when the rifle jammed. He saved 17 American lives that day. They gave him the Bronze Star for valor, the Purple Heart for the shrapnel in his shoulder, and a handshake from a white general who still wouldn't let him eat in the same mess hall as white soldiers. Willie came home in November 1945. He stepped off the ship wearing his uniform, medals on his chest, expecting America to finally see him as equal. Instead, a white woman screamed when he sat next to her on a bus. The driver threw him off. A restaurant in Midtown refused to serve him. "We don't serve coloreds." And 3 cops beat him in Times Square for looking at a white woman wrong. By December, Willie was sleeping in an alley behind Small's Paradise, his Bronze Star still pinned to his torn jacket, trying to stay warm. That's where Bumpy found him. December 15th, 1945, 11:30 p.m. Bumpy was leaving Small's when he saw a figure in the alley. Army jacket, medals glinting in the streetlight. Willie Jackson. Willie woke fast, soldier instincts, then saw who'd spoken. "Mr. Johnson." "The hell are you doing sleeping in an alley?" Willie's face hardened. "Got nowhere else to go. Came home to the same America I left, just with more scars." Bumpy pulled out his wallet, counted out $300. "Mrs. Patterson's boarding house on 139th Street. That'll cover 3 months. Tomorrow you come find me at Small's, 6 p.m. You're my bodyguard now." Willie stared at the money. "Why?" "Because I made you a promise in 1942. My word means something, even if America's doesn't." Willie took the money. His hands were shaking. "I won't let you down, Mr. Johnson. I know you won't. And Willie, nobody puts their hands on you again, long as you're with me." For 3 months, Willie worked as Bumpy's bodyguard. And in those 3 months, Willie saved Bumpy's life 3 times. The first time, Small's Paradise, Saturday night. The club was packed. Bumpy was sitting at his usual table, reviewing the week's numbers with Illinois Gordon. Willie stood 3 feet behind him, scanning the room. The bartender, a new hire named Clarence, set a whiskey in front of Bumpy. Willie noticed it. The way Clarence's hand trembled, the way his eyes darted toward the door, the way he stepped back too quickly. Something wrong. Willie moved before thinking. His hand shot out, knocked the glass off the table. Whiskey splashed across the floor. Bumpy looked up. "What the—" "Don't drink that, boss." Clarence ran, didn't make it to the door. 2 of Bumpy's men grabbed him. They found rat poison in his pocket, enough to kill 3 men. Clarence was working for a rival who wanted Bumpy dead. He confessed everything before sunrise, was found in the East River 2 days later. That night, after it was over, Bumpy sat alone with Willie in his office. "How'd you know?" "His hands, boss, shaking, and his eyes kept going to the door, like he was planning his escape before you even took a sip. You saved my life tonight." Willie shrugged. "That's the job." "No." Bumpy's voice was serious. "That's not the job. The job is to stand nearby and look intimidating. What you did, watching, noticing, acting, that's something else." He poured 2 glasses of clean whiskey, handed one to Willie. "To the first time," Bumpy said. Willie smiled. "Hopefully the last." It wasn't. The second time. Bumpy was leaving a meeting on 125th Street. Business with some Italian associates. Territory discussions. Willie was walking 3 steps behind, scanning rooftops, doorways, parked cars, the way he'd learned in Italy. He saw the glint first, sunlight reflecting off glass, 3rd-floor window across the street. Scope. Down! Willie lunged forward, grabbed Bumpy's shoulder, pulled him sideways. They crashed through a doorway together. The bullet hit the door frame, exactly where Bumpy's head had been half a second earlier. Willie had his gun out before they hit the ground, fired 3 shots at the window. Cover fire. The sniper disappeared. By the time Bumpy's men got to the building, he was gone. That night, Bumpy sat in the safe house, staring at the hole in the door frame. 6 inches, he said quietly. 6 inches to the left and I'm dead. But you're not, Willie said. Because of you, again. Just doing my job, boss. Bumpy looked at Willie for a long moment. You keep saying that, but we both know it's more than that. Willie didn't respond, just checked the windows again, made sure they were secure. Get some sleep, boss. I'll take first watch. The 3rd time. This was the one that mattered most, because it was the last. 11:45 p.m. Bumpy was leaving Small's Paradise through the back entrance, heading to his Cadillac in the alley. Willie was 10 feet behind, always scanning, always alert. He saw the movement in the shadows. 2 men, guns rising. No time to shout, no time to draw, only time to move. Willie lunged forward, 3 steps, grabbed Bumpy's shoulder, pulled hard. Bumpy went down. The first shot hit Willie in the left shoulder, the same shoulder that had taken shrapnel in Italy. He didn't go down. His right hand drew his .45, fired 3 times. The shooters ran. Then the adrenaline faded, and his legs gave out. Bumpy caught him before he hit the ground. "Willie, stay with me!" Willie smiled, blood on his teeth. 3 times, boss. That's 3. You're gonna be fine. Doctor, now! Just like Italy, Willie whispered. Took one for the team. They got him to Dr. Silverman's place on 145th Street. The doctor worked for 2 hours, removed the bullet, stitched the wound. By 2 a.m., Willie was stable, resting, morphine keeping him comfortable. Bumpy sat beside the bed, watching him breathe. 3 times in 3 months. 3 times Willie had said, "Not today." The room was quiet. Just Willie's breathing and distant Harlem traffic. 3 times, Bumpy said. Willie smiled without opening his eyes. You countin'? Hard not to. That's the job, boss. No, what you do, throwing yourself in front of bullets, that's not the job. That's something else. Willie was quiet for a moment. The morphine made him honest. You remember what you said to me in Red Hook, back in 41? I said a lot of things. You said nobody would ever put their hands on me again, long as I was with you. Willie's eyes were still closed. Nobody ever said that to me before. My whole life, people told me what I couldn't do, what I couldn't be. But you saw a colored dock worker getting jumped, and you didn't see trash. You saw potential. You saw a brother. You proved me right. And you gave me something America never did. Respect. Family. Purpose. Willie's voice was soft but certain. So yeah, I'll take bullets for you, because you're the only person who ever made me feel like I mattered. Bumpy's voice was rough. You matter, Willie. To me. To Harlem. I know, boss. Get some rest. We'll find who sent those shooters tomorrow. Willie closed his eyes, the morphine pulling him toward sleep. Boss? Yeah? Thank you. For everything. No. Thank you, Willie, for all 3 times. Willie smiled. Might be a 4th. I can feel it. Not if I can help it. We'll see. Those were the last words they ever spoke to each other. Danny Morrison and his crew were drinking at Murphy's Tavern in Hell's Kitchen when Paulie McCarthy walked through the door. Danny, you're not going to believe this. What? That colored you shot tonight? Bumpy's bodyguard? I know where he is. Danny's eyes narrowed. Where? Dr. Silverman's place, 145th Street. No guards, just him and the doctor. 6 men. All white, all Irish, all filled with whiskey and hate. Danny made a decision. Get the truck. Get rope. At 3:45 a.m., they broke into Dr. Silverman's brownstone. Willie awoke to heavy boots on the stairs, reached for his gun. It wasn't there. The door burst open, 6 men with rope and knives. Willie fought, but his shoulder was destroyed. The morphine slowed him. 6 against 1 wounded man isn't a fair fight. "Please," Willie said. "I'm a veteran. I fought for this country. The Gothic line. I saved 17 men." Danny Morrison picked up Willie's bronze star from the nightstand, examined it, then dropped it on the floor and stepped on it. "You're not a veteran. You're a colored playing soldier. These medals don't mean anything." They dragged Willie down the stairs, threw him in the pickup truck, tied ropes around his chest. Willie understood what was happening. He'd heard the stories from down south. "No! God, no! Please!" Danny started the engine, looked back through the mirror. "Let's see how heroic you are after 3 miles." The truck moved, slowly, 4 miles per hour. 3 miles later, they cut the rope, left Willie's destroyed body on 96th Street. At 5:53 a.m., William Big Willie Jackson died in the back of an ambulance. His last words to the paramedic, "Tell Bumpy, I'm sorry, I failed him." He was wrong about that. Illinois Gordon burst through the door of Small's Paradise. "Boss, it's Willie!" Time stopped. "What about Willie?" "He's dead. They found him on 95th Street. They dragged him, boss, 3 miles. His body—" Illinois couldn't finish. Bumpy drove to Harlem Hospital, walked into the morgue. The attendant tried to stop him. Bumpy pushed past. He stood at the table, stared at the white sheet, then pulled it back. What he saw would haunt him forever. Willie's body was destroyed, skin gone, muscles torn, bones visible, his face barely recognizable. But his bronze star and purple heart were still in his jacket pocket, bent, crushed, but there. Bumpy stood there for 5 minutes, not moving, not speaking. He reached into the pocket, pulled out the bronze star, held it in his palm. This medal represented everything Willie believed in, everything he'd fought for, and 6 men had stepped on it, had told Willie it meant nothing. Bumpy pulled the sheet back over Willie's body. His hands were shaking, not from fear, from rage so complete his body couldn't contain it. He walked out of the morgue, out of the hospital, got in his car, drove back to Small's Paradise. Illinois was waiting with a folder. "You got names?" 6 of them. Danny Morrison's crew from Hell's Kitchen. Bumpy opened the folder. 6 photographs, 6 faces. Danny Morrison, Tommy O'Brien, Paulie McCarthy, Frank Murphy, Lou Bennett, Rick Sullivan. Where are they now? Murphy's Tavern, all 6, drinking, celebrating. Bumpy closed the folder. "Get me a pickup truck, black, same make as theirs, and get me 15 men. We're going to Hell's Kitchen tonight." "Boss, if you do this," "If I do this, Willie's death means something. It means every gang in New York learns that Harlem protects its own. The police called Willie a gang member and closed his case in 4 hours. Bumpy's eyes were ice, so we handle this the Harlem way." Murphy's Tavern, Hell's Kitchen, 2 days after Willie's murder. 6 men were inside, doors locked, windows closed, guns ready. They knew Bumpy was coming. They were prepared. At least, they thought they were. At 11:45 p.m., 3 black Cadillacs rolled down 10th Avenue, headlights off, silent. They stopped in front of the tavern. 15 men stepped out, all armed, all Bumpy's soldiers. Illinois Gordon walked to the front door, crowbar in hand. 2 hits, the lock shattered, the door swung open. Inside, 6 men scrambled for their weapons. Too slow. Bumpy's men poured through the door like water through a broken dam. The first 3 went for Danny Morrison. 2 more cut off the back exit. The rest spread out, covering every corner. Danny reached for his shotgun under the bar. Marcus Cole kicked it away, drove his fist into Danny's stomach. Danny doubled over, gasping. Tommy O'Brien fired twice. Both shots went wide, shattering bottles behind the bar. Quick Jackson shot the gun out of his hand. Tommy screamed, clutching his bleeding fingers. Paulie McCarthy tried to run for the back door, found 3 men waiting. They drove him to the floor. Frank Murphy didn't even try to fight, just put his hands up. Smart man. Too late for smart. Lou Bennett swung a chair. It connected with nothing. 2 men took him down before the chair hit the ground. Rick Sullivan went for the window. Illinois caught him by the collar, slammed him face first into the wall. 90 seconds. 90 seconds, and 6 men were on the floor, hands tied behind their backs, mouths gagged, eyes wide with terror. The door opened. Bumpy Johnson walked in. He stood in the center of the tavern, looked at each man on the floor, memorized each face. Then he reached into his pocket, pulled out Willie's bronze star. "You know what this is?" Danny tried to speak through the gag. Couldn't. This belonged to a man named William Jackson. He earned it in Italy, the Gothic line, saved 17 American lives. Bumpy's voice was quiet, cold. He came home from war expecting America to treat him like a hero. Instead, 3 days ago, you dragged him through the streets like an animal. He knelt in front of Danny. He begged you to stop, showed you his medals, told you he was a veteran, and you stepped on his bronze star and told him it meant nothing. Danny was crying now, tears streaming down his face. Tonight, you're going to feel exactly what Willie felt, every mile, every second. But there's a difference. Bumpy stood. Willie was alone. He died alone on that street. But you won't be alone. You'll have each other. 6 of you. 6 ropes. 1 truck. You'll watch each other die, hear each other scream, and in your last moments, you'll understand exactly what you took from me. He turned to his men. Put them in the truck, all 6, side by side. They dragged the 6 men out into the cold February night. The black Ford pickup waited in the alley. Same make, same model, same year as the one they'd used on Willie. 6 ropes, 6 bodies, tied to the bumper in a row. Danny Morrison in the center, the others on either side. All conscious, all terrified, all understanding exactly what was about to happen. Bumpy climbed into the driver's seat, started the engine. The rumble filled the night. He looked at the 6 men in the rearview mirror, crying, struggling, trying to scream through their gags. Willie saved my life 3 times, and you murdered him for being a hero, for being proud, for refusing to accept that his medals meant nothing. He put the truck in gear. Now, I'm going to show you what those medals meant to me, to Harlem, to everyone who ever looked at Willie Jackson and saw a brother. The truck started moving, slowly, 4 miles per hour, from Hell's Kitchen toward Harlem. The truck rolled through the Manhattan streets at 1 a.m., 6 bodies dragging behind it, 6 men screaming through their gags, the sound of flesh scraping asphalt, the smell of blood filling the cold air. Bumpy kept his eyes forward, his hands steady on the wheel, his face expressionless. Behind him, Danny Morrison's back was shredding against the cobblestones, his clothes tearing, his skin peeling. Tommy O'Brien was trying to curl into a ball, trying to protect his face. Couldn't. The rope held him flat. Paulie McCarthy's screams had already gone silent, his throat destroyed, but he was still conscious, still feeling everything. At 14th Street, people started appearing in windows. Word had spread. Bumpy Johnson's dragging someone through the streets. Not someone, 6 someones. At 34th Street, the crowd grew. Dozens of faces, watching from apartment windows, from fire escapes, from darkened doorways. Nobody called the police. Nobody tried to stop it. They knew what this was. They knew why it was happening. At 59th Street, Frank Murphy stopped moving, his body limp, either dead or unconscious. It didn't matter anymore. At 79th Street, Lou Bennett's screams finally died, his throat raw, his voice gone, but his eyes were still open, fixed on the night sky, watching the stars as his body was destroyed. At 96th Street, the exact spot where Willie had been left, Bumpy stopped the truck. He got out slowly, walked to the back. 6 bodies, 4 still breathing, 2 already gone. Danny Morrison was alive, barely, his chest rising in shallow gasps, his eyes open but unfocused. Bumpy knelt beside him, pulled out Willie's Bronze Star, held it in front of Danny's face. "You feel that? Every second of that? That's what Willie felt, while you laughed, while you drove that truck and listened to him beg." Danny tried to speak. Blood filled his throat. Bumpy stood, pulled out 6 cards he'd prepared, waterproof, typed. He pinned one to each body. William Big Willie Jackson, Bronze Star, Purple Heart, 92nd Infantry Division, Buffalo Soldiers. Murdered February 18th, 1946. This is justice. Harlem remembers. Then he placed Willie's Bronze Star on Danny Morrison's chest. "Promise kept, Willie. Nobody puts their hands on you again." He walked back to the truck, got in, drove away, left 6 bodies on 96th Street, the same spot where Willie had died, the same 3-mile route, the same 4 miles per hour. Justice delivered. By sunrise, every gang in New York knew what had happened. 6 white men, dragged to death. Same method they'd used on Willie Jackson. The NYPD investigation lasted 6 hours. The official report read, 6 unidentified white males. Cause of death, severe trauma. No witnesses, no suspects. Classification, gang violence. Case closed. Because even the police understood what Danny Morrison's crew had done to a Bronze Star veteran was so evil that Bumpy's revenge was the only justice Willie Jackson would ever receive. The message spread through every corner of New York. Touch Bumpy Johnson's family, and you don't just die, you suffer first, publicly, exactly the way you made them suffer. The Irish crew that Danny belonged to pulled out of Harlem within a week, never came back. The Italian families sent word, "Harlem is yours. We have no quarrel with Bumpy Johnson." For the next 20 years, from 1946 to 1966, no white gang operated in Harlem. Not one, because they all remembered the pickup truck. They all remembered the 6 ropes. They all remembered what happens when you touch Bumpy Johnson's family. Over 2,000 people attended Willie's funeral at Abyssinian Baptist Church. Veterans came, men from the 92nd Infantry who'd fought alongside Willie in Italy. Harlem residents came, people who'd never met Willie but understood what he represented. Reverend Adam Clayton Powell, Jr. delivered the eulogy. William Jackson fought for a country that didn't love him back. He saved American lives. He came home with medals and the belief that his sacrifice would earn him equality. Instead, he came home to hatred, to violence, to a death I will not describe in this holy place. But William Jackson did not die unavenged. He did not die forgotten. And because of what happened in the 3 days following his death, he will never be forgotten. Some will say that what was done in his name was wrong, that revenge is not justice. I am not here to make that judgment. God will judge all of us in time. What I will say is this: William Jackson mattered. His life mattered. His sacrifice mattered. And when the system failed him completely, someone stood up and said, "Not in my city, not to my brother, not without consequences." Rest in peace, William Jackson. Harlem remembers. They lowered Willie's casket at Woodlawn Cemetery. When everyone had left, Bumpy stood alone at the grave. He placed 3 things on the casket: Willie's bronze star, Willie's purple heart, and a letter. "Willie, you saved my life 3 times. I couldn't save yours, but I made sure they paid. All 6, every mile, every second. You came home to a country that didn't deserve you, but you found a family that did. Rest easy, brother. Nobody will ever forget your name, Bumpy." As the dirt covered the casket, Bumpy whispered, "3 times you said not today. This time, I said it for you." William "Big Willie" Jackson saved 17 American soldiers at the Gothic Line in Italy, March 1944. Saved Bumpy Johnson's life 3 times in Harlem, December 1945 to February 1946. And when 6 men murdered him for being a hero, for being proud, for refusing to accept that his medals meant nothing, Bumpy Johnson made sure the entire city understood what that cost. One night, 6 men dragged 3 miles, side by side, together. Hundreds of witnesses, 0 arrests, justice delivered. If this story moved you, if you believe Willie Jackson deserved better than what America gave him, hit that subscribe button. We're telling the Bumpy Johnson stories that history buried. Drop a like if you believe Willie's sacrifice in Italy and in Harlem mattered. Comment below, was this justice or revenge? When a war hero is murdered and the police do nothing, what's left? Next video, the time Bumpy Johnson walked into Lucky Luciano's headquarters unarmed and walked out with the deal of a century. Remember the name: William "Big Willie" Jackson, Bronze Star, Purple Heart, 92nd Infantry Division, Buffalo Soldiers, 1918 to 1946. He fought 2 wars, won both, died a hero. Rest in power, Willie.